So this video is exactly for those of you who are putting in the grind, like you're out there on the DMs trying to get new clients for your social media marketing agency or any service-based business. Messaging people on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, cold email, whatever channel it is, you're putting the work in, but you're just not managing to set up any sales calls, and it's making you frustrated. You're frustrated because you know the value that you offer, you know, like the results that you can get your prospects. You know how much you can help their business grow or help their body improve or just generally add value to their life. You know that. You also know that if they understood your offer, that they'd just see the value too. Like they'd be rushing to their wallets to get their credit card out and pay you. But the thing is, you're not at that stage yet because you just can't initiate that conversation. You can't get that point across to your prospects because they're just not giving you the chance yet. But this video is about how to stand out with your outreach. So when you're trying to get clients, you're messaging people, this is how to stand out, because trust me when I say that these businesses are getting so many of these messages every single day. Now imagine you're getting 30 to 40, even more messages every single day from people offering probably a very similar service to you. You just dismiss every single one you'd get, wouldn't you? So the key here is to genuinely be unique. There are a few ways that we can do this. I'll talk through a few of them in this video, but I hope that almost you take notes in this video, you actually action what I talk about, because it's no good learning how to be unique, but then not applying it, just going head first into like whatever you're doing, just thinking, oh, it's a numbers game, just keep doing it. No, you've got to have that quality in your outreach as well as the quantity. Look, I'm going to skip over the main points that people talk about because you should know these already, like personalization, choosing the right platform that your target market are on, like all of that stuff. I will just skip because you're already doing that. I know you are. So this little process is all about how to take a conversation from a personal conversation to a business conversation. Every single message that your target market are getting are, hey, I could do this for your business. I'd love to help you grow your business. Now, to stand out, we're going to flip it. We're going to go to their person. What is this person about? Who are they? Like, what do they post? What are their interests? What are their hobbies? That is what we're going to message them about. We're not going to message them at all about business with your first message. Now, before I actually get into this process, I will say that there are so many different ways that outreach can work, and this is just one of them. Like, I know people who have outreach or lead generation companies, and they do like business message first, but because they're hitting such high quantities, like hundreds and hundreds every single day, it works for them. But for those of you who are wanting high quality, very low maintenance clients who are just happy to pay you, they get along with you really well, you're almost becoming friends with your prospects, with your clients, then this method is ideal for you, because personally, I want long-lasting clients. I want people who trust me, let me get on with my work, and are happy with the way I work, happy with me as a person, and I genuinely get along with, because I've had it where I have but poor client relationships where we just don't get along. We're always clashing heads, and ultimately it just led me to be like, no, I'll shake my hands with you, like, that's it, I'm not going forward anymore. So let's get into the method that will help you develop these long-lasting and help find you these awesome clients that you just dream about. All right, so step one, you're going to reach out to them with a non-business question. It's a message that they can't not reply to. Like, you'll know when you get these messages just out of the blue and you think, it's almost so unexpected that you have to reply to it. Now, let's say you look on their profile and you see that they went out for a steak dinner last. They say they really enjoyed it. They had like the T-bone. You could message them. T-bone looks fantastic. I would have gone for a sirloin myself. What sauce do you normally get on it? I'm a bit controversial with this. So like, hang on a minute. So you just asked what sauce I put on my steak. Well, I went for peppercorn actually. Those unexpected messages that they just completely never get from someone trying to like pitch them something, because the idea is that you're not pitching, you're just aiming for a response. And with these personalized messages where they're so almost random, then you're going to get such good response rates. The idea is that once we get in those initial response rates, then we've got so much more conversations started. What we do now is we change the conversation, like throughout this process that I'll just walk you through. The idea is to go from personal, build rapport, make that connection, to then subtly and very almost naturally let the conversation flow towards business. Now, step 2 is about building rapport and making that connection with them. So finding something in common, just having a bit of a laugh with them, really. Because if you can entertain them, if you can like make jokes and stuff, then they're so much more likely to carry on replying, like carry on the conversation. So this is super, super valuable, because almost everyone who does outreach, it's very business, it's very structured, it's very scripted, like certain questions: how much do you make this month? How much are you aiming for in the next 12 months? This is like you're talking to them like an actual person. So an example here, like when I was doing outreach for car dealerships, one of my first messages that always went down really well, I got very good reply rates, would be like, "Hey Kevin, I've just seen your recent picture, like doing a handover with that latest Range Rover. What's the best car that you've ever had in stock? I'd love to know." Then he'd come back and be like, "Oh, we had this Lamborghini Aventador in a few months ago. It was fantastic. Such a beautiful car." And then we'd just be talking about Lamborghinis and be like, "Oh, what do you think of the new truck? I'm personally a huge fan. I'd love to have one, love to drive one around." Then he'd be like, "Yeah, I've seen them around. I personally love the G-Wagon as a truck myself." We'd just be chatting like me and like my mates would be, like, about cars. That's the key here. If you want to sort of build that relationship, you don't talk about business, because you don't really develop a relationship in business. You develop a relationship and then you turn it to business. Now, the next step, like once you are having this conversation, you're making jokes, you have a bit of a laugh, then you're going to want to start subtly dripping in your like past case studies, just to get some social proof, really, because they have probably looked on your bio, they've probably seen what you do. Now you want to like just subtly say like how good you are. This is like briefly mentioning some past work you've done or a recent client success. It doesn't have to be anything special, and you don't want to go out of the blue with this. You don't want to say, "Hey, did you know that recently my client did achieve X, Y, and Z?" You're going to want to keep it very subtle and natural. So a hot topic that I was talking about with car dealerships was with the car chip shortage, if you know about that. So all new cars are just delayed because of this chip shortage. Now this would come up in conversation a lot. I'd ask them, "Oh man, how's things going with you about the chip shortage? That must be super frustrating." And they'd always be like, "Yeah, it's a shame, but we're trying to push other stuff and like everything else just to like keep revenue going." And I'd be like, "Look, completely understand, like it's a very difficult time. Some businesses are really struggling, some are really thriving." Like a client of mine last week, we did really well just from used cars. I helped him set up a used car festival and he sold 40 cars in 2 days. So it's just subtle things like this that you blend them into your conversation. Like I didn't just come out of the blue. It's like, "Do you want to know how I got my client to sell 40 cars in 2 days last weekend?" I didn't just go in with that, because you haven't got that connection. If you build on it and you just, the first half of your message is sort of replying to what they say, and then the second half you introduce this case study, because when they're reading it, they're already invested in you, because you've had that banter, because you've got that personal relationship. So the key to this strategy, I guess you could say, is just to keep it supernatural. Start on a personal level, build that connection, and then slowly drip in your business case studies. You don't want to talk about anything like related to your service. You don't want to talk about your latest offers or anything. Don't ask them personal questions about their business. This is key, because the amount of people who I get DMing me who say, "Oh, what are you doing in revenue at the moment? Like, where would you like to be in 6 months?" You just feel like telling them to fuck off. Because why would I tell you how much my business is doing? Not out of an insecurity thing, but it's just like, I don't know, it's odd to me why someone thinks that that would work. And me being like some absolute stranger, me being like, "Well, I'm doing this much a month, but I'm really struggling in this area." Like, why would I say that? My business is my baby. Why would I tell them every insecurity I've got about my baby? So when you build that personal connection, you're talking about cars, you're talking about your favorite steak places in your area. And that's another good one, actually. So if you are targeting local businesses, this works so well, because you can relate to local businesses, local restaurants, like local areas. Like if it's a car dealership and you say, "Oh man, I drove past and you've got an absolutely gorgeous A-Class or like a Mercedes AMG outside. That must be like awesome to drive." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, man, I've just had it in this week. It's fantastic. I love it." And then you sort of get that ball rolling. Like it's so relatable, because every other person cold outreach or emailing them, they wouldn't know about that AMG Mercedes on their forecourt. Key here is just be personable and just entertain them, be nice. But yeah, it's that personal relationship that's going to lead you to those fantastic client relationships. Like, I know this, I've got my clients at the moment, like, I love them. Like, I'm all like good friends with each of them. I hope this has been valuable. So follow those steps, and yeah, you will like start to stand out in your outreach. You won't get frustrated anymore because your reply rates will just skyrocket. And I am going to do another video about the second half of outreach, like setting up that sales call once you've already developed that relationship, that rapport with them. And yeah, I'll do that in the next few days. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, all the best. I'll see you soon.